Hey guys, I originally wanted to have a little chat with you on the way home about Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer, but it kind of started to rain, so I'm completely soaked right now. I don't know if you can see that. Totally wet. So let me get changed. This is much better. I'm sorry about the artificial lighting, but it's gotten quite dark outside now. But let's talk about Jon Krakauer and Into Thin Air. This book is mainly his report of his trip to Mount Everest in 1996 and what happened on the mountain and how he dealt with the situation. Because on this trip a lot of people died, so there were a lot of problems, and he was there as a reporter to write about this trip for a magazine, which he did, and a lot of people criticized him for this article and the things he said. So about 1 year later, I think, he sat down again and wrote down all the things again and wrote the book just to deal with it himself and to realize how things were not exactly as he remembered them when he wrote the article. And that's almost all I can say about the book. I liked how he structured it, that he didn't just talk about his trip, but also he put all the historical events around Mount Everest, everything that's evolved with that, and climbing Mount Everest and climbing in general. He put all of that in context. When it comes to listening to the audiobook, I don't think I made the right choice here. I had a lot of problems following the story and what was going on. Every chapter started with a quotation, but it took me about 3 to 4 chapters to figure that out. And I was constantly confused of whose story I'm reading, where we are, and there were so many names that I just couldn't follow and differentiate, and I was confused for most of the book. And Jon Krakauer's voice is awesome to listen to, but it's not awesome to listen to for audiobooks. Like, I like the sound of his voice so much that I just listened to the sound, but not the words. And I kept drifting off, and my mind was just wandering most of the time. And a lot of those times I kept wondering why all these people want to climb Mount Everest, and I thought how ridiculous this attempt is and how stupid it is to do this. And also how many people put that down on their bucket list as one thing they want to do in their lifetime. I was reminded of an old friend I had in university whose father tried to climb Mount Everest when we were at university, and he was not the youngest at that time, and he attempted it, he trained a lot, he went there, and he came back a different man. He looked completely different, he was very shaken from the experience. People died on his trip too, if I remember correctly, and it was just ridiculous. He was over 50 years old and he was attempting to do something that he'd always wanted to do when he was like 20 probably. And this had me thinking about my own bucket list and my bucket list philosophy, because my bucket list is pretty empty at the moment. I just don't like putting off things. When I want to do something, if I have a dream or I really get an idea into my head that I need to do this, I really put a lot of effort and energy in it. And I personally think if I don't do that, I don't really want it. And that is my bucket list philosophy. If you don't really work hard to get it pretty soon, then you don't really want it. Things you keep for later are not things you really want to have. Those are the things you might like to have, but they are not worthy for my bucket list. This philosophy is driven by the fact that I don't know what happens tomorrow. I don't know if I'll have an accident tomorrow, might never be able to travel again. Or if I keep putting off things way too long, I might get too old to do it or enjoy it. And maybe the thing I want to do is just not possible anymore in the future, like going to Hong Kong before it was returned to China. Not possible anymore. And of course I want to know what your bucket list philosophy is, if you have a bucket list, if you have a philosophy for your bucket list, or how you deal with things that you want to do. What is your attitude there? Or do you think I'm completely stupid for thinking about this after listening to people die on Mount Everest? Thank you all for watching. Bye bye.